Ladies and gentlemen, 5v5 Grand Arena is about to start back up this week, and it is time for me to talk about how I decide what to split in my roster, what is going on offense, what is going on defense. I like to go over offense first, and it's a little different in 5v5 because you only set 11 teams on defense, and you only need 11 for offense. But in essence, it's the same either way for 3v3 or 5v5. The points that I do look at when I'm determining my offense and defense. So as you see here, I am an offense first player, so I want to bring enough firepower. And you have to determine your philosophy for Grand Arena, whether you want to go heavy offense, heavy defense, or bespoke, which just means it depends on your opponent. You're going to tailor it to the situation. I tend to go offense heavy because I want to make sure I full clear. I think that's a more fun way to play. And there's enough good teams that even though I'm going offense heavy, I still think I don't have a weak defense. It's teams that are their character is a defensive team. They're not getting high banners, so they're an easy call for defense. But anyway, definitely want to make sure you scout your opponent, even though if you're offense heavy or defense heavy, no matter what, you want to see what they're going to set with frequency, and maybe if you don't have something ready normally for what they're going to set, you want to change it up and bring in something to deal with that. So check out their GAC history on swigga.gg. And then just obviously decide how to counter those teams. And then for your Galactic Legends, you want to determine which GLs aren't going to hold well in your league. So even if you're going defense heavy, you might want to keep those on offense with you. Even if you want to put a lot of Galactic Legends on defense, like Sith Eternal Emperor is historically a offensive team, so you want to keep him for offense. I definitely want to keep doing that. Then you want to identify other classic teams that are going to get high banners, but don't really hold well on defense. This is like Bad Batch and Imperial Troopers. You want to keep this for offense. And then if you are preferring a heavy offense, bring your extra GLs, kind of like I do, even if you don't have a specific counter in mind. And that is what you're going to see with some of my comps. And now it's time to look at my actual comps. And it's important to note we're going to look at more than 11 because obviously since I can only set 11 teams on defense, I'm going to have more left over for offense. But the plan is always to only use 11, hopefully, because you want to be able to one-shot. If you have to two-shot, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, that's just what I like to plan on doing. For Supreme Leader Kylo, I have him first. I definitely want on offense, although he would cause some issues on defense for sure. So if I scout my opponent and they don't like to set a ton of Galactic Legends, and I think I'm just going to be overkilling with Supreme Leader Kylo, I can set him on defense. And that might be more of a possibility because I've brought in I'm switching Lord Vader this season to offense because we don't have that crazy set 4 cooldown reduction datacron. So Darth Vader and Lord Vader are not as good as they were. Well, Darth Vader is still on offense, but Lord Vader was a defensive stalwart, so he was pretty much glued to the defensive side of things. But it's going to be nice to use him. Yeah, he's a good counter for Jabba. I'm splitting up Maul from him. I could also use him for Rey, although I think it would be much worse banners in 5v5. I added Kylo Ren just to get an unaligned Force user in there because that gives him a few benefits. And yes, my roll guard sucks for the level I'm at, but what are you going to do? I'm not putting him on defense. And then Jedi Master Luke with Jedi Knight Luke. This is a team with that I like to use against like Rey. A lot of times. Old Ben might be stuck with Starkiller. It depends. But this is a team that's kind of flex. I don't have like a specific counter in mind, like a specific legend. It can work against Jedi Master Kenobi, Rey, another JML, Supreme Leader Kylo if I come across them. The ones I wouldn't want to face are Lord Vader, Sith Eternal, and Jabba. So basically, most of the all the light side, most of the dark side he can handle, or just an overkill on a good non-galactic legend team. That's with the Eternal Emperor. I need to take armor out of this because armor will not be available. I am putting armor on defense with my Maul team, which you'll see. So Sith Eternal and Watt can handle plenty of things, as we know. I'm not worried about using Sith Eternal for Jedi Master Kenobi specifically. I know a lot of people are worried about that counter without Wat Tambor and figuring that out, but that's just usually not how I do it. I usually go for a mirror or Jedi Master Luke. But a lot of times I just use him solo against gas. That's actually my favorite because it's hard to beat General Skywalker. It's like usually Galactic Legend or Star Killer or CLS, and CLS doesn't get the best banners. But yeah, it just depends. And then Jedi Master Kenobi, again, I don't have a specific counter in mind, but he's kind of my ace in the hole because it's a very strong team. So there's my Galactic Legends. And then we got some classic strong teams that could go either way, offense or defense, but I'm keeping them on offense for flexibility. So I like to use the classic Starkiller team, and then I'm going to have to decide which tank I end up using or which Jedi. It doesn't have to be a tank. I have General Kenobi. It'll just depend on what counter I'm looking at, which one I prioritize to go with him. Maybe I don't put Kenobi with JMK, maybe I put it with Starkiller, or maybe I use Old Ben. It just depends. So I like the classic one. I know there's plenty of theory crafting you can do, but I just prefer to stick with this. And Darth Vader, I think I want to keep him with Lord Vader. So if I were to split up Palpatine and Mara Jade, I'd want Darth Vader with them, and then I wouldn't have much other firepower on Lord Vader other than him. So battles would take a long time, and it'd probably just be him standing at the end of the match. Also CLS. I mean, this can handle General Skywalker, but it's also what I have in mind for Afra. If I come across Afra, I'll just be able to demolish that team with Han, especially with the cooldown reset Datacron and the essential bonus turn. It would just decimate Afra in 5v5 because Chupio is there to assist too. It's gonna be crazy, and it's just such a nice team, such a smooth team on offense. On defense, it can cause trouble too, but I want to keep it with me. I'm just got Revan. I like to do the kind of classic Revan lineup. I have Juhani here just because it gives a little extra speed and stats from Revan's leadership, but Yoda with it. But the truth is, the Jedi split I use every matchup depends. If I come across Supreme Leader Kylo, I'm still more likely, if I can, to use Jedi Master Luke instead of the Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Knight Revan counter, because it can get kind of dicey, and if the turn order goes wrong, which it usually will with the Datacron set that they have, or the Datacron sets that we have right now, it's kind of risky, and it gets down to just a JKL slicker 1v1, and it's risky. For Troopers, I'm excited to see what they can do in 5v5. I know they can beat standard Lord Vader comps with just the standard level 3 turn meter gain Datacron. This is one of the best teams that makes use of that Datacron the best, because Dark Trooper starts out and then he gives the whole team turn meter with his second special, which you're not usually using. So they get 10% turn meter for each stack on him, so that's gonna be 40%. So you're gonna get a great boost and gonna go probably before anybody, even Galactic Legends. So it's gonna be a great team, and it could overkill other stuff as well. Some more classic offensive teams. We got Bad Batch that can handle a variety of things. Very useful. I love Bad Batch. It's great for full banners a lot of times. It can counter like Radis, Sortie, some Maul team, or not Maul, Savage teams, like Darth Maul teams. It just depends, but definitely want them on offense. Not even a decision to put them on defense. And then Iden. It used to be great on defense or a go-to, but it can be soloed by Wampa, so you don't really want that. And it can handle a couple things. I don't know if CLS is on the table for this 5v5 season, but it just depends. I sometimes end up not using them at 5v5. And I got a few more listed because there are so many offensive teams. Bounty Hunters could go either way. I could see switching them to defense if the Lord Vader counters are just so smooth that I just never need anything to clean up. But they're great to handle a lot of stuff other than Lord Vader. And it's a very fun team to use, but defense, it catches people off guard because they're not used to people setting it, and I've had some holds with them in the past. But for right now, I'll probably keep them unless I want to switch it up. And then if I just use a Supreme Leader Kylo solo, I'd likely use this team with First Order to make use of the TIE Pilot Omicron. Otherwise, it's probably just going to waste in 5v5. And some other clear teams I don't want to put on defense. Wampa, it's an obvious one. You have to solo with him, and that's not going to work on defense. Mon Mothma, it's kind of like a cleanup team for me, and it has some surprising situations where it can get full banners, like on certain sortie teams. So it's nice to have. General Grievous is good for some select counters, like CLS, it might work, and then some sortie teams, it's a good counter. So it's nice to have. I don't have BB-8 available, but Newt should work just fine. And Newt right now does not have a strong enough team in the leagues I'm at, or the GP level I'm at, to lead his own team, or just merit separating. And then Geos are a cleanup team. That's not something I'm going to put on defense, but if you're at a lower level, I still would probably recommend using them on offense. With the turn meter gain, Datacron, they're not going to get like a massive startup because Pago's probably going to go first, but you could probably get a little extra turn meter from all the assists and maybe get a head start on things. So who knows? I'd recommend probably most of these on offense at even mid-game. Mon Mothma might be a good defensive team, but right now I don't really trust it to do anything. Now for defensive teams, I'm going to show you my actual wall. If you're facing me, don't rely on this. I might switch things up based on facing you and what I've seen in your history. So don't depend on that if you are my opponent. But for defense, the rules I look at is, you want to decide wisely what you place and actually also where you place it. So crafting unconventional teams that your opponent might underestimate, that's what I like to put in the front wall. Something that might not be used a lot, and it's not going to have a lot of data on swgoh.gg, and they might want to guess on. They might not want to use a strong team, and then they end up dropping right on the front wall, even though it's not a Galactic Legend. That's how I like to do that. But then, of course, you scout what your opponent has trouble with and put those on the front wall as well. And my third bullet point is you want to set teams that are hard to deal with no matter what in the back. So that can be either Galactic Legends or a very strong non-Galactic Legend team. Something where people are usually, at my level, they're trying to anticipate something strong in the back and save for the front. So you want to actually do that and have them meet that expectation, but have them trip up on the front wall. That's always the hope. And then you want to set strong teams that don't get high banners or have good protection recovery. To me, the prototype for that is General Skywalker, so I pretty much always set him. Although Sith Eternal just solos him. That's still drawing a Galactic Legend. And then strong teams you aren't sure how to use offensively yet. For me, this is Grand Inquisitor. I mean, if I'm playing a lot of teams or if I'm going through 5v5 and I keep coming across teams where I'm looking up counters and then Grand Inquisitor is there, that's when I'll switch him over. But for now, I want to see him in 5v5 on defense because I have that level 9 Datacron for him. And then my last point is, if you prefer heavy defense, you want to load up on GLs, probably on the front wall, so that they possibly could get stuck and not even get to the back for extra banners. But I don't prefer to play that way. So let's take a look at my front wall. And what I have at the moment, Maul, this is definitely a focus. This is new. This is different than what I have been using in the past few Grand Arenas. I got the whole Mandalorian team here, and it's based around this making it better. Extra turn meter, 20% turn meter for every dark side ally to the weakest ally. And right now, that's going to be Bo-Katan. And I'm fine with that because she's going to use a special, and she could possibly daze everyone. It's not irresistible or anything, but she's going to buff Dispel and daze. So I think that's a great start to the match. Then Maul's going to go do his AoE, and then Candace is probably going to get his turn, do his AoE, and then Maul's going to be off to the races. I also have this cooldown reset, which is nice. That's going to come into play for Bo-Katan pretty fast because she only has one special. For Django, it's going to be a couple turns before we do it, and then Candace, that's going to be pretty fast. So I loaded them up on defense, and I actually have them built all for like survivability. Like Maul, I have 115,000 protection after the Datacron, 331 speed, and that's because of Bo-Katan. Like, I don't think when people are attacking this, I don't think I'm going to have enough offense to like overwhelm them right away. I want to have enough survivability to where it's frustrating and then they start dropping. Because Bo-Katan gives 100% max protection to every Mandalorian ally until she's gone. So if they target until they kill her, everyone's gonna have double protection, like even Candra's. I'm not impressed with his damage output, so he's getting a lot there. But anyway, that's a great team I'm excited about. Rogue One, it's a pretty standard team that I said. It's, you know, it's not the best or hardest team to beat, but I've seen so many holds with it. I'm just keeping it, and I'm not sure what to do with it on offense. My Radis is built pretty great, honestly. He's super fast, really durable in both protection and health, and he's got tons of tenacity. So everyone tries to go right at him, and he's basically really hard to debuff, really hard to take down. So it's annoying for people. And these two teams are something I don't think people are going to expect to face a lot. Treya is good on offense, but she doesn't have good banner recovery. And I want all the banners I can get. And putting her with Savage, I think is the best use of both Omicrons. Because I'm not going to set, like, I'm not going to solo anyone really with my Relic 5 Savage. And I'm not really going to want to put him with Sith Eternal Emperor or anyone else. Yeah, I'm trying to think what... She can't beat Lord Vader anymore. And even if she could, in 5v5, I want to use Imperial Troopers. So I think this will just really throw people for a loop. And give them lots of defense. I have the Tank Revive one, which might not even come into play, because if he already has Hatred, that's happening anyway. But, oh well. And then the Dash team. I don't know if this is a commonly placed team, so I'm hoping there's less information about it. I'm using Dash as a lead instead of Bam. I don't have a regular Dash team, which I'm fine with. I don't think that team is that scary. It's more of an offensive team. But I have the the blind one, so it'll get some blind out there. I don't really care about the bonuses where when you defeat someone, something happens, because I don't see that happening too often. I want something to mess people up in the meantime. The stats aren't that great, but I think it should throw people up, and I like Dashley because it gives a little extra speed, and then Queel might be able to go. This will be kind of an annoying team, and if I want to be tricky about it, maybe I'll replace Nest with something random so people can't actually... So it's something that people have never actually faced. I want to look at my back wall, just 3 teams. So this is kind of what I like about 5v5. It's simple, less teams to deal with. I got Jabba, no ultimate yet. I'm hoping to unlock it before Grand Arena lock. It takes forever. 5 Zetas. The only one I'm missing is the first special. Yeah, Crime Lord. But the 5th, I picked Boba Fett because I already had him at R8, and I like the AoE ability block. I know plenty of people say it's a bad move, don't use Boba Fett, but that's what I'm doing. And I kept all these guys at R6 because in Rise of the Empire TB, I was able to beat the R7 mission of him with like Han, Chewie, Dash, and Bam. So I don't really feel the need to get them to 7, which I would have done just for that. I got the Bounty Hunter specific Datacron for them, so should be good. I got Rey with Ben, JTR. Resistance Hero Finn is the better of the RH bros. The counterattacks are more annoying. And then Holdo, it's always annoying for people to face Holdo because she's really slow, is how I have her, and a lot of people have her. And so when she's in damage immunity and taunting, it's really annoying. I gave some extra health here and health steal. Just a little bit of a lot of things there. No effects, of course. And then Gas, set him with some high potency, a little bit of protection, and crit damage. If people don't have the right counters for him, it could be annoying. The potency could help thwart CLS, and then if people don't have Sith Eternal for the back, they might have a problem here. So that's the back wall. And now the front wall. I have some stuff that people are going to identify as things they need to deal with. So they're going to keep that in mind when they're attacking my front wall or my bottom wall. So I have Malgus, and I use Sith Marauder here because actually the hold rate is higher with him than what's her name? Talon. And also with him, I'm able to make Darth Revan the weakest character. I tested it in Arena with this Datacron, so he's going to go first and use Insanity and dunk on people. Hopefully get AoE Fear if there's not a pre-taunt. And some good stats for them. some good defense, not through the roof, some extra crit damage, offense, protection. So I think that'll be pretty tough to deal with. You might need to use a Galactic Legend for that. And then Grand Inquisitor, I have him set with no second sister. They're all R7 because of the Riva mission. And I have the one I want. I mean, I think Tank Revive would be the best, but it would cost 80 reroll mats, which I don't have. It would take a while to get. And turn meter is fine anyway. It's not. It actually doesn't do that much because 7 Sister goes first and just like does her little stun thing or on one character. Got some extra crit damage there. Just extra firepower in general. That's a pretty good boost, and then some health. I don't know. This is something I really debated taking on offense, and I probably will end up using it on offense at some point. But for now, I'm just throwing it there for people to deal with. Padme is less available in 5v5 anyway, or she doesn't have a full team to use. And then Sortie. I actually need to change this Datacron because there are droid Datacrons available. And let's see here. I'm going to go with this one because it's something. It's a little turn meter boost, and then defeating an enemy to get a bonus turn. So if they do get the jump and kill someone, they're going to get going. Extra crit damage helps for me. I want to pick that instead of this because I think this might go better with Imperial Troopers because it has offense only. That'll help Dark Trooper, and then if there's a tank revive Datacron, that's going to prevent that. So I'm going with this for them. And is just BB-8 for the turn meter gain. I might look into swapping out R2 to put with JMK for possible mirror matches. T3 gives damage boost and such. And then Qui-Gon Jinn, I'm putting him on defense because they're not great banners on offense. They're not super great anyway. And it's something you got to deal with. I don't know. If it's just Bad Batch trouncing it, then I'll change my mind. But I think Mace should help with that, if I remember correctly. And the stats I'm giving them, some crit damage is one of my higher crit damage ones. Since I don't do a lot of rerolls much, I can't tailor my stats. I just gotta use what I have available. And then just quick look at my ships. I am offense heavy on ships too, very much so. So when they started doing 3 ships in GAC, I think these were like my best ships, Malevolence and Negotiator, because Executor wasn't out. But now they're the ones I'm putting on defense. I put Spy with Malevolence because that gave me more problems when I faced it on defense, or when I was on offense. And I think it's because on defense, you're not as worried about the forced taunt on people, but the AoE, or the mass assist, does a lot of damage, so that can mess things up. So I put that on defense with it. Radis is just classic, annoying, can steal a lot of banners. So I'm not trying to win or lose on ships. I just want to be able to get through ships and not worry about it. So that is my offense and defense, and that's how I think about splitting them up. I can't tailor advice to everyone because everyone's at different parts of the game. So I just wanted to share my thought process between splitting things up. A lot of teams could be good on offense or defense, so it's up to personal interpretation. Let me know what teams you think I should be using on offense that I'm not, or defense and vice versa. Love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Good luck in 5v5, and see you next time.